Good morning, friends.
Is this heaven? It's like up in the sky, it's beautiful. I'm lightheaded because of the low oxygen. It might be heaven. Rubber on a rock, eh? Hit a rock, eh?
Quite the experience, this Grisbait. We play hard and we eat hard.
All right, all cameras rolling. Let's f this up. Beautiful place to stop. I think that is the rare hairless Sasquatch that's only found here in BC. Hairless, tutu-wearing Sam Squanch. Woo! Whoa, dude, my wife would hate that I'm right here. Oh my God! Wow! Wow. Boy, have my eyes been opened as to what's possible, what's rideable.
Get out there and have your adventures. So worth it to get outside your comfort zone.
I think it's happening. I think it's live.
It's live. That's the best introduction of any live I've ever been on, and you've set the bar too high, and my own people will just not stand for it anymore.
Out with that professional production.
That's right. I hate it.
How are you
Thinks
doing?
I hate it.
Yeah, man.
I'm good, man. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm good. It's always good to see you. To be honest, folks, we have been imbibing in the background and talking much shit. A bunch of the eRag gang guys were in here, and Ben, what are you drinking? Share it.
I'm hydrating with the purest Rocky Mountain goodness. I figure I have to represent America with our finest bubbly beverage. So there you go.
Yes, that makes perfect sense, man. I'm doing the same thing. Canada, this, not all of Canada, but this right here, that's definitely a representation. You can only buy that in Quebec, the land of the Français, and the Courrier de Bois, like we were talking about earlier.
So they dropped your restraining order? You're allowed in Quebec again?
No, that's why we've held off on that, but we're hoping for next year.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're still
We're
pending.
hoping for a letter from the lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So I will introduce you guys to Dork in the Road. I have no idea. What we're hoping is that a bunch of Dork in the Road's fans raided into his YouTube live, and some of our guys are going to show up because I want you guys to meet Dork for many reasons. The very, very short background is I gave him a proposal. I don't even remember. It must have been sometime in 23 in the past. I offered a proposal. And I said, come up to Grisbait and come ride with us. And he graciously jumped off the cliff, which I was very happy with. I thought that was great to take a chance on guys that you may or may not know. And he did absolutely fantastic. I think he had a good time. And tonight I would like to talk about Ben and sort of where he came from. And what I will say is the reason I like Ben's stuff so much is because he actually gives a shit. Like, he takes what he's doing he runs a big YouTube channel for those that don't know. He takes it seriously and he gives a shit and he respects the sport. And anyone who does that, and obviously he loves it as well, but anyone that does that is okay by me. So welcome, Ben.
That's flattering, Dallas.
All true, man.
Wow.
All true. Yep.
It's weirdly sincere for you, so I keep waiting for the zinger to come.
No, man, there's no 2-2 in this room, so, and I'm really, really not that witty, so.
That's true.
I got questions though about you. I'm super interested. So I want to hear about how you got into. What's your history with motorcycles and how did you get into it? And like, tell me that creeping, like before you decided to start the YouTube channel and sort of what was going through your mind.
Okay, I mean, it's a long story, but I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. For our younger viewers, that was a magazine that existed for a long time that took books and made them shorter. Anyway, I actually got my motorcycle endorsement when I was 17. My dad paid for me to take the class. In Oregon, you have to take the class to get your endorsement. And I was going to get a bike. We were going to rebuild one. We had projects, and it just basically nothing ever worked out. So I never actually ended up with a motorcycle. But I kept paying. I kept paying for my endorsement because you can let it drop and pay less when you renew your license. But I just knew someday I wanted to do this thing. And then my buddy Sean, who used to ride, and when he rode in college, and he same thing, hadn't ridden for a long time, one day is just like, so I'm going to Reading tomorrow. And I was like, why? And he's like, I'm gonna buy a Ducati. I'm gonna buy the motorcycle I've always wanted, like the exact one. And I was like, where did this come from? And it was that sort of reminded me that I'd always wanted to do this thing. And we started speaking very persuasively to my wife, and it was actually my brother who finally convinced her, because I have this, you guys, if you follow the channel, you know, I have a tendency to get really excited about something and then get really excited about something else. But my brother came in and was like, no, he's literally been talking about this since he was like 16 years old. So I convinced my wife to let me buy a motorcycle and started on a CB 500F, rode that for, I don't know, 6-8 months, started watching too many Everride videos, remembering my childhood spent in the woods exploring and various Toyota 4-wheel drives, and was like, it'll be really fun doing this thing I used to love while doing love now, and riding motorcycle 50L. And it was right before I got the 250L that I sort of started the channel, just kind of on a lark. I think I've told you the story of why it's called Dork in the Road. I haven't. Oh well, because so back then motovlogging was a thing. Like I came in on the tail end of it, so it was really huge, and like people could blow up just like vlogging while they were going to the grocery store. Like you didn't have to. There was nothing not have to be interesting. And so I got this crazy idea that I was going to combine two things I loved: motorcycling and nerd stuff, dork stuff, like Marvel and Star Wars and whatever. And I was just going to talk about those things while I was riding, and that's where actually the original channel name was Riding Nerdy, but somebody had snagged it before me. And which was just a dude that like rode around in a bow tie. I was like, you don't even deserve this name. And he doesn't even have a channel anymore. But my buddy Michael came up with Dork in the Road, and I was like, yep. My first video was actually about why Empire Strikes Back is not the best Star Wars movie ever. I'm actually a bigger fan of Return of the Jedi. But it didn't take long for, like, my 10th video was a review of my 500F. And that was the first video I ever did that really got some traction. And so it started becoming, I was a teacher, right? So like explaining and teaching and all of that was just sort of easy for me, and doing so kind of eloquent is not the word, but you know, with some skill, well enough that people can coherently. That's the word I'm looking for. So good with the words. And you know, I gradually shifted over to mostly off-road riding. And a couple years ago, I was lucky enough to convince the crew at Giant Loop to let me take over their channel, so that between that and my channel, I could quit my job. And I've been doing YouTube full time for 2.5 years now.
That is absolutely wild.
It is. I still can't believe it myself.
Yeah, man, I get it. Like 2 years is not a long time. And when that point came, did you just know, or you were like, fuck, I have no clue, but I'm jumping? You just jumped off the cliff.
Oh no, there was a ton of just like conversation and honestly, well, okay, so I didn't jump in. I kept one foot on the shore because I took leave of absence from my teaching job, which means I'm guaranteed a position if I have to go back. Not the same position, but a job. So I kept my seniority, whatever. But it was just like, it came to the point where it was like, if I'm going to do this, I need to do it. And I need to just bet on myself. And if it works, awesome. And if it doesn't, no regrets, because at least I tried it. And honestly, it's only grown and gotten bigger. And it's like 100,000 subscribers this year. That astounds me. I remember when I got 1,000 and I thought I was like the coolest kid on earth. So it's pretty cool. And it's still kind of unbelievable. And I'm just incredibly grateful and I try really, really hard to understand and appreciate how lucky I am.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. You have no idea how much I like that type of story. You are in the hero's journey right now, man. It's awesome. Slaying those dragons, jumping off cliffs. It's cool.
I didn't get my metaphorical baptism because I didn't crash into the water at Grisbait, but we'll get there.
Yep. So let's fast forward. Started the YouTube channel. Oh, somebody asked how old you were when you started the YouTube channel. Like mid-40s?
40-ish.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
right.
Started riding 38, so I would have been 39 or 40 when I started the channel.
Nice. So yeah, fast forward to I must have sent you some form of communication. I emailed you or something. I must have. I don't
You
know how I
did.
get a hold
I
of you.
assume you didn't telepath me.
Yeah, man. What was the thought process? Were you like, besides scheduling and where you're going to fit it in, what's the thought process of like, you know, right, like jumping off that cliff and coming to Canada and going on a hell of a ride that you've never really considered before?
Well, I'd seen the Grisbait videos, so I've subscribed to Cross Training Enduro. I'd watched the videos with Megs and them on it. So I sort of knew, and what stuck in my head and why I remembered it was the scenery, the drone shots from the top of the mountain, like where the big repeater tower dildos are, right? Like, and in my head it was like, this is bucket list. This is why I got into this. This is what I want to do and see someday, right? Well, then someday emails you, and you have to think, God, am I ready for that? But knowing that I was going to be on a dirt bike helped, right? Because I have a lot more courage when I'm on a lighter motorcycle. And really, just talking to you, there was one point when I tried. I think when I was like, I had this plan to get in shape, and it didn't really happen, and I don't want you to waste a spot on me. And you were like, just come, you'll be fine. I've oversold how difficult it is. And you were lying, but you weren't.
Right. I lied many times during that conference. But I get that a lot because people, they see these videos and they see us riding a lot of hard enduro, which we film just for fun. And, Barry's channel is very hard enduro based. So a lot of people think that we're these like super crazy hardcore guys. And I would say that we used to run those types of silly, like over the top rides, but we just don't do it because men are between 40 and 70 that travel with us. And if you're 40 to 70 and you have enough, or you have the ability to visit us, spend $5,000, leave your family or whatever your work situation is for a week, that means you also carry a lot of responsibility in your life for family and people depend on you. So like, I don't want anyone to get hurt. I truly don't. And not from a liability perspective, sure, but more of the idea that, man, like seeing a man in our size group get hurt is no fun. It's no fun. You've been around guys that have been hurt, so you know what it's like. It's like it really sucks for everybody.
Yeah. I hope to never do that again, but I doubt that's going to be the case.
Yeah. So I knew I saw emails like yours before where you were starting to have a bit of hesitation, and I'm glad that I talked to you into it because I didn't know you'd be fine, honestly. But I thought you'd be fine, and mostly though because of your attitude. Like you were saying, "Oh, my fitness," and I'm not gonna. And I was worried about that. Like I would say if you have good fitness and a good attitude, you can come on any of our rides.
Yeah, you said that to me, and that was my goal. And then when I didn't have it, I was like, "Oh shit, am I screwed?"
Right. I understood, but man, you did so much better than not to spoiler alert, but like you did great, man. Like tell me about I love like the details of like what goes through people's minds when they like visit. Was it intimidating when you first got there? Like what's it like to meet people like at the airport and be like, are you a dirt biker? Like, am I on the right, like, how did that all go down?
Well, I heard a couple guys while we were waiting in Vancouver talking. They said your name actually, and so I was by myself. So I just walked up and was like, "Did you guys going to Grisbait?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, bro." And a couple guys had been before, and so that was helpful. I don't know. I'm an introvert. I don't love like new people, but I'm also dork in the road now, and so when I go to events, a lot of people talk to me, and so I've kind of gotten used to it, and so it's kind of I just flipped that switch. And so, but it was kind of neat because really almost nobody like knew who I was. Not to sound like I have a big head, but it was just like, I'm just one of the people here to do this thing. And it was awesome, honestly. So it was, you wonder if everything you see is just marketing or if it's the real deal, if this is really how it's going to be. And then you show up at the airport and there's a dude in an Evel Knievel costume with a sign that says reprobates wanted. And you're like, okay, it's exactly what it's been sold.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we like having fun, man. I've viewed a lot of tour companies, like especially on the enduro side of things, and they're very factory, and they have their pit shirts on, and there's like all the things are lined up, and it's very like almost like you're going to a racing event and you're part of a factory team. And for me, I'm just like, man, that's like, I grew up in a small place that's, was country, rural. And I just like being in the country and having fun with my friends. And dirt bikes are the best way to get around, in my opinion. Like if you want to see a lot of shit fast, a dirt bike's the way to do it.
Well, and I will say this, and it's going to sound like it's not a compliment, but it is. I've hung out with dirt bike people. I've hung out with dual sport people. I've hung out with adventure people. Dirt bike people are generally different. The last dirt bike race I went to here was like a NASCAR event. But the group that we were in and the way that you run everything feels so much more like an ADV event to me.
Interesting.
And I mean that in like the nicest possible way, because everyone's helping each other and there's none of this ego competition crap. Like everyone's there to have a good time and make sure everyone has a good time. So I was maybe I wasn't super worried about that because I thought we were going to motocross track, and enduro and dual sport start to fade into each other a little. But I was really happy with that. I felt right at home into an event like this before.
Oh, that's cool, man. I appreciate that compliment because I have no idea. Like we live in this weird bubble, man, where we're just like, I've been to one adventure event, I think, in my life. And I met Anthony, who you met earlier. And that's the last one I've been to. And it was super friendly and welcoming. And it was a rally. And it was really, I enjoyed myself. It just wasn't my type of riding because it was all gravel roads. And it's just like, I was too young and foolish and crazy to just ride gravel roads. I want to ride insane shit and, all that stuff. Ego.
Right.
Yeah. But we've been doing that a lot, and I'm glad that we're someone that is from outside of our community is coming in and feeling welcome and cared for.
Yes, and it's that you can also just get the vibe of a group, right? Just the amount of just gentle crap talking and just the way that everyone, it was like you're all a bunch of brothers and sisters. Seeing that and just listening to people talk, it's like, okay, this is a group like I'll be fine in, like, and knowing that it's like I'm just going to jump in and do the same thing because it doesn't seem like you're being exclusionary with it,
Yeah, like I literally talk to every single human that comes on these trips because I want to meet them, and I want to make sure two things. One, that this is the right trip for them at their current level of their motorcycling career, because if you get the wrong fit, they're going to have a terrible time, and we're going to have a terrible time, and I'm going to feel guilty and awful that they showed up and like
it's a lot of money to waste, right? If it's not,
right. I want them; they got to be in the right spot.
Yep.
And then the second thing, I feel like I don't even remember what I was going to say.
Good one. Must have been important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's. I'm sure it'll come back to me, but anyway. That's how my brain works, unfortunately.
Silver mine, where we're going to wade in and probably die in a cave-in.
It smells like stroke, exhaust, and desperation up here. Now here's Satan himself, prepared to drag us down to hell with him all day long. That's literally his nickname. I'm not being an asshole. Okay, so we're headed up to a silver mine. This one's supposedly pretty tough. It's definitely going to push me, but I've decided today, instead of focusing on the anxiety and terror, I'm going to decide I'm a person that likes difficult things and that I enjoy riding hard and embrace the suck. Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous, man. Oh, we gotta come down this. You all right, man? Hey, Rock. Oh, really? You gotta be kidding me.
Angry Dork to all the internet.
Yeah, I'm fat and out of shape, and I'm doing it. So you if you're gonna make fun of me. Get your here and do something, or sit on your ass and leave stupid YouTube comments. You don't, come visit my grave up here at some point if you're so inclined.
That was brilliant.
I don't remember all those cuss words. That was a lot of beeps.
That was incredible, man. So one, I remember what I forgot, which was The other people I screen for is racers, and no disrespect to racing. I respect racing, but people with a race mentality, like they're still hanging on to that, or they want it to be very aggressive. It's just not a good fit for us. So yeah, we like guys that are just relaxed and want to ride and have fun and enjoy. So that's how we get the potpourri of personalities that we get at these events.
It's not a competition, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So shit, this is a perfect time to talk about that moment. Like a couple things. One, do you think we did a good job gradually bringing you up the food chain of difficulty?
Yeah, we kind of talked about that when we talked the other, I don't remember what the hell that was, but about brushing the edges of my comfort zone on the first day. It was like, it's going to be mellow. We're going to go to this beautiful. So you have a beautiful goal at the end, right? That was the big mountaintop, the thing I wanted to see, the reason why I came. So it's like, I'm stoked about that. And then the riding, it's roads, but it's not, it's like mining roads, not like logging roads like we would think about them. And so some interesting hills and stuff. So it's a great place to kind of get a feel for the bike and also start to push those edges, brush those edges of what's kind of possible. And then second day was crazy trail stuff that was
the dome. So that was us introducing you to, okay, you've had the first one out of your way, all the jitters are out. Let's see how they do on this particular place. And it was more technical.
Yeah, well, it was just steep. Like I had my one crash. What blows my mind is I had one crash and one drop the whole time. I feel like I was getting my ass kicked the whole time, but I only crashed once, which means I wasn't trying hard enough, probably. But just the verticality, and I remember you saying you're going to be on a rock diet all week, and I was like, well, it wasn't bullshitting. Like there's a lot of rocks here, and then rest day, but Telkwa Pass was no joke, and it's gorgeous, right? So. The scene, and I'm there, like, I always say, like, I ride to see things. I ride to go places, and, like, the fun riding is a nice benefit, but, like, I can almost take it or leave it. But when I get on boring roads, I ride too fast, and so, obviously, that's not entirely true. But having entices me to continue on when it's otherwise difficult. And then day 4, we had a choice, because there was a lot of really good, like, people that race hare scrambles and like in the group, and so there was like 4 or 5 of us that are like, we're not in that group. And so they went and did the 9-mile hill climb, and we just kind of went and saw some stuff that we'd seen before. And then the last day was the big day of that video took place. And honestly, if you'd showed me that, I don't think I would have believed I could have done it. So you really, you Sherpa'd me up to that point. And then I was, like I said at the beginning of that clip, is like, I've decided today that if I had enough trust in you and the group and the leaders, that you wouldn't take me somewhere that I couldn't handle, and that even if I was scared, terrified and didn't think I could do it, I was going to try anyway.
Yeah.
And honestly, I ended up getting frustrated because we weren't going fast enough in some parts, just because it was so steep. When we'd stop, it was like, oh, now I can't get going again. And I just wanted to roll, So it was very interesting. Ben on day 1 and Ben on day 5 were very different, I think. And there's a reason why I came home and bought it 2 weeks later.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. We got a bit of an echo.
Just saying, that was literally it. I bought a 250F 2 weeks later because it was cool to me what I could do on that bike.
Yeah, through my time in this world, the enduro world, I realized that often people, and this probably happens in your community too, you would know better than I would, people make a wrong bike choice. And it's not their fault, but it's just not the right bike for them at that point in their career for what they want to do.
Yeah, I talk about that all the time.
Right.
And
so we see it a lot.
Yeah, it's hard to tell someone, because when I say you should buy a dual sport first, it's like, okay, but that's like $6,000. So easy thing to just go do, but it's like I want to ride adventure bikes. That's great, but do you want to kill yourself on an adventure bike? Do you want to enjoy riding an adventure bike? It really helps to build some skills and some confidence on a smaller bike.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's why we're doing what we're going to do in the fall. Actually, Anthony, I don't know if it's too early or not, but do you want to play that clip? Because we can, that clip will explain what we're doing in the fall together, and then we can talk more about adventure. Suffering butt pucker when transitioning to gravel? Can't make friends with a big unwieldy bike? See a great trail but lack the confidence to commit? Getting in over your head in the back of Beyond? This is the world's first hybrid enduro to adventure cross training camp. At that point, all of my mental bandwidth goes to my front brake and my front brake lever. Improve your adventure and dual sport skills by learning the basic techniques on our lightweight 250cc machines. Last year, Dork and the Road traveled with us on our legendary Grisbait ride.
Good morning, friends. I'm here in beautiful British Columbia.
Forgot to put my goggles on. There we go, bro.
After spending a week on small bikes, Dork really leveled up his off-road riding skills. His experience with the traction eRag completely changed his perspective on both what he and his bike were capable of.
Boy, have my eyes been open as to what's possible, what's rideable.
So worth it to get outside your comfort zone.
This fun 5-day event is designed specifically for dual sport and adventure riders who are transitioning from street riding to exploring the dirt. This unique approach of small bike training to learn big bike skills will fast track your abilities and confidence both on and off the road. This is the perfect combination of training, riding, exploration, incredible scenery, great food, and good friends. After 5 days with us on small bikes, you will surprise yourself as what you are actually capable of. Follow the link to apply. These special events fill up quickly, so apply now. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. I don't like the self-promotional part of this. Like, I feel, somewhat uncomfortable with that portion. But the truth is, we're doing this event because of what you just said. What exists in our community must exist in your community as well, which is you're in there for a while and then you see guys coming in and you want them to stay and you want them to have a good experience, but they just made the wrong choices on the way in because they just don't know. And we're seeing so much of that. Like, man, the consequences of crashing on a large adventure bike when you don't really know what you're doing off-road and you think that the bike can do this thing, and then next thing you know, you're on the ground, man, and with fractured bones.
Yeah, every time I see a late model, like last 2 years, fully farkled adventure bike at the dealership with like 2,000 miles on it, I know there's a tragic story there, and I hate to see it. It's a good deal for someone that knows what they're getting, but it's like, that's one person that maybe got out entirely. Hopefully they downsized to a more manageable bike. And I did it too. I thought after riding my 250L for a couple years, I was ready for an Africa Twin, and I bought one, and that was a different ball game. Entirely different.
The amount of weight and power and momentum that bike carries through a lot of shit, man, like, it's scary. It's great when it goes well, like the weight just takes you through, but when it goes off the rails, man, fuck, adventure bikes scare me. Like, I mean, I ride them very carefully because I know the consequences of fucking that up.
Yeah, and it takes a certain level of confidence to commit to the level you need to successfully navigate difficult things on a bike that heavy. You have to let the momentum carry you through. But when you're afraid, you don't go fast.
Yeah,
and that's when you get in trouble.
Your body position isn't right, and when the bike does do something a little bit out of the ordinary, it's the first time you've ever seen it, and it's like, man, that's the last time you want that to be the first time you've ever seen something. So that's what we do. Like, I realize, like, doing a lot of enduro training and stuff, like, you can make mistakes on that small bike and get up and laugh over and over and over and over, and it's exhausting, but you can tip over, we call them tip overs, on those bikes as long as you're wearing gear, and you're getting up, you have no fractures, or it's slow speed stuff.
Yeah, we had kind of a minor risk, and she kept riding.
Teresa,
being stupid. So that was his fault.
He doesn't count anyway. He's Australian, man.
He wasn't a guest. He was an intern.
And I considered him an incredibly weak character.
Wow. Okay.
I'm gonna clip this and send it to him just as a message.
Yeah, Harry, suck on that in Australia.
Oh, I thought they all were like Crocodile Dundee, and then he showed up, and it was like, man, it was like Russian ballet.
Dude, following him was like watching Picasso paint, man.
Yeah. I know we're saying a bit of inside jokes, guys, but Harry is a pro hard enduro rider from Australia, and he's what, 21 or 22, something like that, very young, and he's built like a piece of oak. And watching him ride, even for us, was absolutely, it was a privilege to see how he handled the motorcycle. It was crazy.
A couple questions we can answer. It's last week of August, and someone's asking, do you ever do anything in Kamloops? It's in Kamloops. So yes, the answer is yes.
I got an email from a guy named Nate, and Nate is from Kamloops, and he's going to take a big bike class, I think. Anyway,
sick.
Yeah, it's in Kamloops. It's in the end of August. It's 5 days, all inclusive. Basically, you get to Vancouver, and then we'll take it from there. So go check it out on the website. All the information's there, and we hope to see you. We will change your life. That pending divorce will suddenly get sweet. All the bad things in your life will improve. What's that?
Yeah. You just won't care. So like I can afford it now.
Right. Yeah. That's the right way to describe it. You won't care anymore about your divorce. You'll be addicted to motorcycles. Yeah. So
right. That's your new wife or spouse.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm excited about that. So I don't know your community very well, and I've been very interested in it just because it's a new community, really, if you think about it. Like the rise of adventure has only been since what's his name? Charlie Borman and what's that guy? The other guy's name?
Ewan McGregor.
Intentionally, I did.
Oh, you're freezing on me. Oh, right.
Well, I
was a little surprised because like Charlie Borman's the name I can't.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. I never heard of him.
Exactly. I knew you were a Star Wars fan, so I thought I'd throw that out there and see if you actually knew the actor's name. Yeah. Anyway, adventure's new. Like it was Harleys in the 60s and the 70s, and Rebel Without a Cause thing, and then the rise of adventure bikes since that movie, and it's a new community. And describe it. Tell me about it. Like we don't know. I don't understand it or know it.
You want me to be an ambassador and an arbiter of
for
the
ADV
community?
Yeah, I don't know it very well.
Well, there's a lot of people that saw that, and it's expanded, right? It's not. There are people in the community. Like I think I'm gonna get excommunicated, but I've never watched Long Way Around. But the world travel stuff doesn't super interest me. I much prefer watching people do stuff more like what I do and just exploring. Like I want to get up into bushcraft videos and stuff because it's interesting to me to see what you can do with very minimal gear, because that's what we could take with. But I mean, in general, it's a very collegial environment. I would use the word fraternity if it wasn't sexist, but let's say family environment. Like people are very. You go down my punk rock days in an earlier part of my life where someone goes down in the pit, and while you're in the pit everyone's pushing each other and hitting each other, but if someone goes, like 9 people are forming a circle around them and picking them up instantly, and it's like that. Like if I was going to describe the community that I've been lucky enough to be a part of, it's very much like that. You go to these events, rallies, and it's like a family reunion. And the great thing is you have something in common with anybody, right? You have the perfect opening line if you want to have a conversation. What do you ride? What do you have? What trips do you have planned? And it's generally a bunch of, I will say, it tends to skew older because adventure motorcycling in particular is not cheap, right? It's not something you can do if you don't have disposable income. And I don't say that to be exclusionary. I say that because the bikes are expensive. Like it's not cheap to get into this hobby. And so it tends to be people that are a little older. And not that there aren't young people, but there aren't many. That's a big problem actually that we see. But I guess they come up through the they come up through the dirt bike ranks maybe and then move over sometimes. But there's really two types of people. There's people like me that like started late because they wanted to get out and adventure, and there's people that started on other types of motorcycles, street bikes, dirt bikes, whatever, and they're like, I get this a lot. I'm slowing down, I'm taking it easy. I get a lot of emails about bike choice that say things like that.
Oh, that's so interesting.
We get all kinds. But it's great community.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you're right. Like in our community, guys go from riding enduro as their primary source of hobby enjoyment on the weekends to then they go to dual sport, and then they eventually go to adventure as like their body gets destroyed, because enduro, true enduro can be really hard on the bod.
Need adrenaline to I want to go places, but have fun along the way, right? And that's what an adventure bike lets you do. Is you don't have to not go up a cool gravel road if you see it, but you could also go 12 hours straight or whatever, 2,000 miles in comfort.
Yeah, I think I remember the rise of adventure, and of course I've been sort of involved with it sort of through journalism a little bit, but it was never my community. And I feel like I was never interested in I never felt it was realistic or believable to go around the world. And that's the part that I fell off on. I was just like, I'm not going around the world, and these guys are not going around the world. And it's like, what is happening right now?
I heard there's a lot of water out there. It's kind of hard to ride across if
Yeah.
you're going to go around the world. That's literally what I think every time. I'm like, isn't the planet 70% water?
So what's your take on that round the world thing? Like, what is that?
I mean, why do people climb Mount Everest? Because it's there, right? So I like motorcycling. I want to do what's the most extreme long you can go around the world. What I mean, you can't go farther than that, right? And I've met people that have done that or they're trying to ride every continent, right? So and that's cool. I've only ever ridden in Mexico and Canada outside of the US, and Mexico was a blast, really cool cultural experience, but I had a guide. Like so those people who go out and do these things in countries where they don't speak the language or understand the culture on their own, like I have nothing but admiration for them. But I'm not there yet.
What's that other organization? Oh, it's Horizons. Do you know that? You must know of Horizons Unlimited, I think it's called.
Oh, that sounds really familiar.
Anthony knows about them, I know for sure. Anyway, Horizons Unlimited is I would say it's almost the OG. Like, it existed before the Long Way Round movie came out, and the spark of the manufacturers preying on people. Like, they were the original round the world, like two old people on a BMW, and they're retired, and they're collecting all the stickers, and they're very kind and just very like humble.
Right.
That's that group. And I was also introduced to that group. So it was like just sort of a weird like rise through adventure. Anyway, it was always round the world, and I never understood that, because I thought, shit, man, you can have tons of fun around your area where you live, wherever that may be.
Well, not everyone lives in a place like we do.
Yeah, that's
I get that a lot. People are like, "Oh, I'm so jealous of your forest," because if you live back east, there's nothing. Like, they don't have national forests.
Yeah, no, it's true. I understand. I lived a portion of my life in an area where there was no riding, there was no private land, and I was miserable, man. It was just adventure was not to be had.
Well, there's a reason. One of the reasons why I haven't gotten that far from where I grew up is I just love being surrounded by unlimited. Like, I haven't seen a tenth of the roads that are within 100 miles of where I grew up. Like, world, like there's just unlimited possibility.
Is Oregon a forestry state?
We were. It was very shut down with the infamous spotted owl, and also we started running out of old growth, and the endangering endangered species, and so it's not what it was. Like, my grandpa moved here to work in the mill because there were jobs here, right? And my stepdad thought he was going to work in the mill his whole life. He didn't need another plan because that's what everybody did, and that sort of fell off in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, for sure. The same thing is happening in BC, not nearly as quickly, and the industry here is much larger than it is in Oregon. But the same arguments and conversations are going around about forestry. The only reason I ask about forestry is because of if you have forestry in the area where you live, you have connector roads, and
Right. Yep. We have a ton. Yeah.
yeah, and that is what you need. You need transit section to go places. I'm going to pause there because Anthony's going to drain the main vein. Here it comes. What the hell, eRag? Oops. Hello, ladies.
Well, we don't have this technology in Europe. We just piss ourselves.
Well, this looks a little weird.
Two of them make up the ingredients for an assault casserole.
I'm so excited, I've just wet myself again.
Traction eRag.
Digital magazine called the Traction eRag.
So what is an eRag? For a decade, we published a trashy magazine called the eRag. E for electronic and rag, because that's what you call a trashy, waste of time magazine. We filmed Graham Jarvis and Colton Haker together with our pals, Larry and Paul, two inspirational riders in their 70s. We put on rides, lots of rides.
I'm here in beautiful British Columbia for Grisbait, a week-long dirt bike riding extravaganza that I might just survive.
Oh my God! Wow!
Grisbait, Big Rock Candy Mountain, Recon Run, Zero to Hero, Woods Runners, Parch Canucks, and that's just to name a few. We continue to host our shenanigans for one reason. We're proud of Canada and I want to show you this country, our version of this country, which is rural, sincere, real. We've applied our experience in university level sports education to dirt bike skills. We break down skills into separate components. Each skill builds on the next. We're really proud of the curriculum we've refined over a decade of teaching. So what do you think? Come play with us in the BC mountains and we will show you the time of your life. Oh my God. Chuck Harder has arrived.
I'm just as surprised as you are.
What's that?
I'm just as surprised as you are.
I hear you, man. What do you think so far? Any comments about the adventure thing?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had very little to do with adventure. The Coves that we were riding in the fall, that's the closest thing I've done to adventure ever in my life.
Yeah, that's so funny because Chuck comes from the enduro side, hardcore, like never. Like, everyone lives in these little bubbles once you get in these communities, and we're in that community, and that's where we've been the whole time. We're just sticking our head up now and being like, oh, there's other people that ride motorcycles.
Dallas, you want to tell my people who Chuck is?
Oh, right. Excellent commentary. Mr. Chuck Harder is the legendary Chuck Harder. If you watch our videos, you'll know he's our head of security, and he has also modeled when he was younger. He is a genius mechanical extraordinaire. So he takes care of everything mechanical. If you are a mechanical nerd, and I mean that with the most respect, I wish I was more nerdy mechanically. But if you're a mechanical nerd, you are going to worship at the altar of Chuck Harder. Anyway, check out his channels, Instagram, YouTube. Instagram, right, Chuck?
Yeah, Instagram's. I've been doing Instagram the longest. I recently started with YouTube, and it's it's crawling along.
Cool, man. Yeah, Chuck was at Grisbait. So I got one question for you, Chuck, before you take off. Ben has been to Grisbait, and this spring he's coming to Big Rock Candy Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
What's your comment? What's he going to see at Big Rock Candy Mountain that he hasn't seen at Grisbait? What's his experience going to be like?
Well, I mean, what I love about riding dirt bikes, I think the thing that I keep coming back to is, I think about adventure as just going new places, discovering new things, and having experiences that I haven't had before, and every ride is a new ride. And
yeah,
Hey,
okay.
Chuck, that doesn't look like you.
Mic drop.
I'm not gone, am I?
No, he's here. He's
Oh,
here.
okay. Grisbait is definitely one of those kind of bucket list epic. It's an epic ride. It's like something from the Lord of the Rings. Big Rock Candy Mountain is more, I would say it's more dirt bikey and a little bit less adventure-y. It's a lot more single tracky. So the views are great. It's hard to have a bad view in BC, but the riding, in my opinion, is better. Like as far as dirt biking goes, the riding is better than Grisbait, but the views are not. So there's pros and cons to it. And here in the Kamloops area, we have we have all kinds of terrain. So it is, man, if you want to learn to ride a dirt bike, if you want to learn anything about riding dirt bikes or adventure bikes or anything, this is the place to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, riding dirt bikes in Kamloops is terrible. Don't come here ever.
Yeah, no.
Oops. Yeah. And Oregon sucks too.
We have no trails. Don't look it up.
No. Yeah. No trails here.
No trails. Definitely don't look up the Tillamook State Forest.
Cool, man. Well, I'm gonna talk to Ben about his experience at Big Rock Candy Mountain and see what he's thinking.
I have thoughts. It kind of sounds like it's more of a Dallas ride than a Ben ride, because less scenery, more fun riding, and fun is subjective.
Right. It's going to be more intense on the bike for sure, and I would still say that you have nothing to worry about. Like
you said that last time, and I was very worried.
I understand, but at the end of it, you made it out okay. And what I'll say about this one is you're going to do the same. Like it's going to be harrowing for sure, but you're going to make it out okay. And then your perspective that you had when you left Grisbait is going to be the same amount of change is going to occur.
Damn. Well, that's horrifying. My plan is to be better prepared. And I will be practicing on my own 250F on my local trails and actually actively seeking out harder riding just so I have more of a chance of surviving and maybe even enjoying myself.
Yeah, you're going to enjoy yourself.
Because, I mean, a lot of Yami was in that trailer you guys showed, and a lot of people think it was Grisbait that made Yami give up off-road riding, but it wasn't. It was Big Rock Candy Mountain.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that was confusing because he was mixed into that video, but he actually quit dirt biking forever on the ride that you're going on in the spring.
Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah, anyway, I wanted to get Chuck. I wanted to get your take on it because you've been to Grisbait. You know exactly what Big Rock Candy's all about and what he's in for coming in the spring.
Yeah, and I think the thing that we do well is pay attention to what's going on with the riders, and everybody should get near the edge of their comfort zone, right towards that line every week that we ride progressively. And the terrain here is very conducive to doing a successful job of that. And all of the staff here are really in tune with what's going on. They're paying a lot of attention. And, I think that's something that we are very successful at.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, man. I would say that earlier on I introduced Dork as saying like, I love Dork because he gives a shit, and I can tell he gives a shit about, he respects motorcycling, he respects the community, he doesn't take it for granted. He's very grateful. And I feel like we're the same way about what we're doing, and we actually give a shit. And people say that to me at the end of the rides all the time. It's like, man, it's like you guys actually care. It's like, fuck, we do. We really do. Like, well, we're trying to let you have an amazing experience and either level up or see cool shit or whatever it is that your objective is. So anyway, you'll be fine. That's what I'm saying.
I think it's probably worth clarifying that the event we're talking about, cross training, enduro skills, takes place at the same place, but it's not the same as the event we're now talking about, which is Big Rock Candy Mountain. That's in May. So I'm going up in May to do one of the riding events, and then I'm going back in at the end of August to do the training riding event with all of you. So the difficulty in the Yami Noob quitting, that's not the event, the training we're running. It's the same place, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I appreciate you clarifying that, because we're terrible. We're terribly confusing sometimes. Yeah, no, I should have mentioned that you were coming up secretly that nobody knew until now to this event. And it's our most challenging event. But after what Ben did at Grisbait, he's going to be fine. And then you're right, Ben, in the fall when we're doing the training, it's going to be, it's for new riders to off-road. I mean, it's going to be awesome, and you guys are going to see some different terrain, but it's going to be like in your wheelhouse. I think every single person that's signed up so far has a year or two experience off-road, so it's exactly the wheelhouse of people that we want. Someone that wants to learn how to ride off-road properly and do it with lots of reps and in an intense way.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. I'm getting a message here that Chuck is departing. Is that you're off, Chuck?
Yeah, I got kids running around. I don't even know. There's a whole bunch of neighborhood kids here. I hadn't planned on being here, so I don't know what's going on out there, but something is calling my name.
Cool, man. Yeah, boys, if you like mechanical, look up Chuck. See what?
Grace is also going to the event in August. Somebody asked in the chat. So Grace will be there. She's going to help film, and also she's having good times. So there will be lots of conversation about it. And, so we'll both be there if that helps you make a decision to come and be a part of it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah, I forgot that Grace was coming, and I'm glad she's coming. She's going to add such, I've only met Grace for the first time on Wednesday, and I just think she's going to add a lot to the event. It's weirdly, I guess everyone knows this, when you introduce a woman into a group of men, the vibe changes slightly. The boys are better behaved, and they don't get so raunchy, and things don't get as crazy. I don't know. You're squinting. Is that not going to be the case?
No, well, I was laughing because it's true, but I'm also laughing because it's Grace, and she'll be the raunchiest one there.
Okay. Yeah. We've done lots of different, we've done lots of teaching for all women's clinics, and we used to run all women's boot camps. So a 3-day training session. And I'm telling you, we used to have so much fun. It was just, I don't know, a different vibe, no ego. It was really cool. Does ego play a part in the adventure riding community? It does here in enduro.
Oh, it for sure does. I think, and I talk about the gatekeeping thing a lot, and I don't. First of all, let me clarify, because there are the whole family experience, everything that I said before. That is what I feel is the true heart of the ADV and dual sport community.
Yeah.
But you definitely get people that have either built their whole identity around being a good rider, and so anyone else doing the thing that they do at a lower level and someone calling it the same thing, they find personally offensive or more accurately threatening, right, to their own comments sometimes. And there are also people that just don't get it. I use my own videos as an example, but every time someone stumbles in from God knows where and comments oh my God, this guy doesn't even know what he's doing. Yeah, that's not a secret. I say it all the time. That's my whole thing, is that I'm no expert. I'm not a mechanic, and you should not follow my example or advice, but at least you can see what it's actually like when normal people do the thing versus what happens when Poltares jumps from cliffside. And that's the marketing that we're fed. And, it sells bikes, and it's cool, and we all like it. But adventure and dual sport motorcycling is generally a bunch of middle-aged dudes sitting around a campfire sipping whiskey. Not to exclude anyone else, but I'm just saying, 80% of who I see, that's who it is. And, you know, that's not Poltara's. And I think my whole thing has always been to show that side of it, but some people don't appreciate that. Some people's egos are built up, but those people tend to, one, they're the ones that are complaining about how they can't ever find anyone to ride with. You see that a lot. And, you know, two, I just don't hang out with them.
Yeah, the same thing permeates our community. Now, I feel like in our community, and I could be wrong, because like, man, when I say I live under a rock in a cave, I don't come out very often, so I don't know what goes on. But in the olden days, in the past, the enduro community was quite bad for that. Like, you know, they were going to thrash you, and if you did not make it, or you complained or whined at all, then they would never talk to you again, and they would, you know, judge you for that.
Right. You weren't good enough. It's hazing.
Yeah. And to join, you know, really what's happening there is they want to feel better about themselves. And it's like, you know, at my expense, or, you know, whoever's expense. So I never liked that. I thought that was wrong. And I say the word inclusive, but then people throw stones at me because they think I'm woke if I say the word inclusive. So
being nice to people is
wanted an inclusive community in the sense that I want to be welcoming, like, you know, so,
right.
And that's true. Like, I think this sport has changed my life and the people around me, their lives as well, for the better. And I want to do that for other people that may be, you know, dirt curious. And it's just weird because, you know, back in the day, it used to be cruisers were like the big thing, and that was like the big, huge bulk of the motorcycle industry. And then it was like enduro was this little weird, creepy sausage fest in the woods that nobody ever gave a shit about.
Right.
But what happened was, you know, the rise of adventure and dirt bikes and enduro and off-road skills all came together in this beautiful marriage. It's happening now. And I'm super excited about it because it's like the more people we can bring into off-road riding, the better humanity will be.
Well, and it's better. That's the thing I've never understood is being exclusionary is you're actually actively hurting yourself. Because the more people in the community, the more bike events that will occur. Like, the more people will be out there advocating for our access to, you know, the lands that we like to ride in, things like that. So it doesn't hurt you for other people to enjoy the thing. It's not pie. There's not a limited amount. Like, yes, you're going to run into more people in the woods from time to time, but I don't see that very often either. Like, it's no one's taking anything away from you, even if they're not doing it the way that you would do it. And I don't understand that mentality.
That mentality really fed off the idea in enduro, at least, not adventure, but in our world, that attitude was fed off the idea that there was only so much single track trail, and it takes a tremendous amount to keep that open and maintained. So when they treat it like a secret fishing hole. So that's the mentality of the enduro guys is like, I don't want anyone in my secret fishing hole, and no one's ever going to know.
Right. But unlike fishing, like more people are going to be out there working the trails, maintaining them, protecting them, kicking the people that are shooting and dumping trash out. Like it helps, you know, the more people that are there to use it for good are going to diminish the people using it for evil.
The larger our community is, and the better voice we have to speak to, and, you know, it's just better, in my opinion. Anyway, I want to change topics. You know, last question before we go, or last topic, because I want to explore this with you a bit. Do you have the thing in your community where it's that guy? Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is that in your world? Like, explain what that means, and then explain what you think of it.
Well, so I'll be interested to hear your perspective on this, because I feel like that guy mentality is an internal thing. Like, you worry that you're that guy, right? But it's not as often, in my experience, everyone being like, oh my God, that guy is that guy, right? Like, we'll give each other crap about, like, the day that we were trying to leave on the Washington BDR and Trav went to get gas and showed up an hour later, I was like, you just pulled the ultimate that guy of all time. What the hell was that? Like, we're trying to get out of here. But that guy, at least I've been that guy or felt like I was that guy for a long time. You know, the slowest rider in the group, the person that feels like you're taking more than you're giving, right? Like you're getting help more than you're giving help. You're causing the group to have to ride slower or different places than they want to. And I really do think 90% of the time that's in your head. I mean, people know, like, it's not like you don't notice that other people are needing more help and are riding more slowly, but they also knew when they invited you to come along that you were not going to be as fast as them. I don't know, at least for me, like, I enjoy helping people, explaining things and helping them learn and grow. And as long as I know that's what I'm getting myself into, I don't worry about, oh, I want to ride. I just will, and then I'll slow down and wait for them or whatever. You know what I mean? Is that kind of what you were thinking when you say that guy?
You absolutely nailed it. And it's mostly the devil on your shoulder telling you that you're not good enough and you shouldn't be here, and you're not forgiving yourself for mistakes that you make, which only make it heightened, and then you make more mistakes. So there's that. But then there's the guy who, like, we were just at the gas station and we were all eating chips and pop and all this stuff, and then he forgot to fill up his bike and he ran out of gas unexpectedly on mile or kilometer 35. That's a different type of that guy. That's like, fucking, what are you doing, you moron? Like,
well, that guy gets the tutu. That's a like, that's a dumbass. And like, but it's a type of dumbass that you would say, dude, you're being a dumbass. Like, you didn't fill up your bike. What the hell? You didn't load the tracks in your GPS. You didn't bring water.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell, man?
You haven't searched the truck
so you're right. There are
phone
two
properly.
different versions.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that?
Things. Yeah. So yeah, it's very similar. It's a 2-2 moment when you do it and you're being dumb, and we don't pick on people that aren't doing well because no one's going to do well. The rule in our group typically is, if you're not struggling at some point through the 5 days and you're not going to welcome help from somebody, we're doing our job wrong. So it just means that you're not being pushed to your, your envelope edge where you're starting to find is challenging and you're struggling a little bit.
Yeah, we call that the zone of proximal development in education.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, man, that's a lot of buzzwords.
I know. A lot of acronyms
so
over there.
Cool. Yeah, so cool. Yeah, man, we do our best not to feel that like that guy, but I felt like that guy a million times, because it just matters who you're riding with. Like, if you're riding with a group that's much better than you, all of a sudden it's really difficult to stop that devil telling you that you're a retard and you shouldn't be here.
I've also been the dumbass, that guy, but was also fully aware of that. And you're just like, why did I do it again? Ugh.
Yeah. I totally get it. I've been that guy a million times. I've felt like that guy a million times. I think it's unavoidable. And I would say that about myself. Like, I've been riding dirt bikes for a long time, over 20 years. And then as a kid too. So, but I felt like that guy. Like, I'm riding with people that are much, 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 much better than me, and I shouldn't be there, but I'm like riding too fast and taking chances and having near misses because I'm so, fear is driving my behavior.
Well, you got to ride your own ride.
I was curious.
So
I assumed
it's so hard when you're afraid, right? You just said it, fear, and you don't want to be holding everyone back. But you know what holds everyone back a lot more? When you freaking crash or screw up your bike, or like, we're all stuck waiting for a helicopter to come get you because you didn't ride your own ride. Ride your own ride. I always say, if you're getting shit from people that you're riding with, if people are not treating you fairly and supporting you, you're not the problem. You're in the wrong place. You're with the wrong people. You should not be riding with them. Those people don't care about you.
That's
going out into the woods, doing a dangerous thing, miles and miles and miles from civilization with people who don't care about you, is not a good idea.
Yeah, that's true. And they say, like, one of the top fears all human beings have is public embarrassment, being humiliated in public. And that's what you're afraid of. You're afraid of being humiliated among this peer group.
Yeah, what people rank, I always used to tell my acting students this, like, people rank fear of public speaking and embarrassing themselves in a public setting over fear of death. So most people would rather die than act on a stage. And so I was like, you guys are really brave already just for being here, because you're willing to overcome that. Like,
Yep,
That's true.
yep. It's the same thing about people. Like when I said, "Hey, come to Grisbait," and you jumped off the cliff and said, "Yeah, I'd love to do that." I was like, "Oh my god!" Like much respect already. You know, you're overcoming a big hurdle of there's got to be fear and apprehension.
Oh yeah, tons of it. Tons
Yeah,
of it.
so you're
I still
pushing
have
through
it.
and you're doing
I'm still scared to go, and I already went and came home.
it. Never to be back. Cool, man. I think we should wrap it up. I've had lots of fun, man. I think we talked about some cool stuff.
Yeah, dude, you're a great host.
I hope the people that decided to tune in also enjoyed the conversation.
Seems like they have from the comments. Although apparently the stream looks like garbage, so
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I can't
stuck
read,
it out
so
anyway.
Anthony will interpret what all that says. Yeah, man, thanks for coming. I'm looking forward to you being on Big Rock Candy Mountain this spring. Like I really am. Like I really enjoyed watching your progress and your attitude while you were progressing. And
Yeah,
for me, that's. I mean, we're not in this for the money, so you know, the satisfaction and meaning I get out of this is like just meeting cool people from all over the world, and then watching them go through this thing that I created out of my mind, and watching them succeed.
Well, I will say this: I was afraid when I went to Grisbait. I'm excited about Big Rock Candy Mountain. Like, I know it's going to suck and it's going to be hard, and but I'm not worried because I know, especially as soon as you said Tim was going to be there, I was like, oh, I'm fine, because
Yeah, man.
you'll push me off a cliff because it's funny as long as the camera's running, but not Tim. He'll take care of me.
Yeah. Tim's perfect because he's almost like a snake that lays in wait for a long time, and then when you're not expecting, off that cliff you go. He's named Satan for a reason.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, and I hope it's not an inexpensive endeavor, but you can't also put a price on training, and it's cheaper than like building up your skills and confidence, and getting a little better on your big bike is worth. It's worth investing in yourself, I guess is what I'm saying, and it's a great event, and it'll be fun. I know we're gonna have a blast, and I hope that some of you can come. And like I said, Grace and I will both be there, failing right alongside you.
Yeah, this I know. Oops, there we go.
Yeah, there I am. There's my face for some reason.
Oh,
It's less fuzzy now.
that's the event. Yeah, and we don't have to look at our faces anymore.
Thank
But
God.
yeah, no, I do agree with you. I think spending a couple $1,000s on learning skills that will go with you for the rest of your life, the rest of your riding career, is the cheapest form of health insurance that you will ever buy, especially if you're riding a big heavy bike, man. Like it's terrifying. Terrifies me to even think about riding a heavy bike around a blind corner.
People do it. That's why
I know, man.
BDR preachers ride right, because people crash into F-150s and cows and deer and each other all the time. It's not cool.
Yep.
And I'm not going to say I'd never go
agree.
left on a corner, but I think about it when I do it.
If anyone watching is interested, the newsletter, our newsletter, is the best place that you are going to get into our world. If you subscribe to the newsletter, we used to publish a magazine back in the day. If you don't know that, you probably don't. We run this newsletter now because we have the publishing addiction and bug, and we'll never ever give that up. So we love it. But this is where you get all the registration information, all that stuff just shows up in your email box if we're doing something silly. And yeah, that's how you basically enter into the eRag world. Thank you, Ben, so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, cool, man. We'll see you next time.
If you're lucky.